Sir Ian McKellen, welcome. I didn't call you that last time I met you.
No, you needn't call it me now, but...
It's a problem for Americans because we're a little flummoxed by titles and so on. And I heard a gentleman once refer to Sir Gielgud all through an interview with the gentleman he was referring to. So we find it hard sometimes.
Well, Sir Ian, Mr. McKellen.
Yeah.
The convention in the theatre itself is that you don't use the title, so I'm Mr. most of my life still.
No ad ever said with Sir Laurence Olivier, did it?
Not, no.
Yeah. Now we have Sir John Gielgud, Sir Ralph Richardson, Sir Peter O'Toole, I believe. No. But there was Sir Noel Coward, Sir Laurence Olivier, and I must confess, I'm a little tired of this. What's wrong with American actors?
Well, you have to be British for a start, and you have, on the whole, to have spent most of your life earning no money at all at the behest of the nation, not gallivanting off to Hollywood to make a lot of money and be very famous. That is reward in itself.
Oh, so that's why there was no Sir Spencer Tracy, though there certainly deserved to be.
But there are a few people. There's Sir General Schwarzkopf, but he's not allowed to use the title because he's American, but he's a knight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Your German pronunciation of Schwarzkopf didn't make him sound very American, in fact. Could Bob Hope, by the way, be... He was born in England.
Oh, yes. Well, yes. I don't suppose he's been paying any taxes, has he, in England?
I think they made a lot of money off of him there, though. I asked him once, since you were born in England, people forget that. When you hear God Save the Queen, does some part of you still rise? And I didn't mean to word it that way. And he came right out of the chair. He said, hey, I'm going to use that over there. You maintain, along with your friend Marlon Brando, that all people are good actors if they just want to be. His way of putting it is, we've acted all our lives. Your mother said, did you pee on the toilet seat? And you say no, and you know you did, and yet you're convincing. And as much as I'm willing to say balderdash to him, I did, because otherwise I could have been the same Stanley Kowalski you were.
I think that's only the reply one gives to people who are absolutely, totally amazed that anyone should spend any part of their life professionally acting. And it's just a rebuttal to that amazement. And if Brando said that, he's quite true, that we're all quite proficient liars, and even if we're not liars, we do actually make ourselves fit in with our environment. I mean, people are very conscious of the clothes they wear, aren't they? I mean, from a very, very early age, I remember being very conscious whether I was wearing the right clothes for school, and still am. These are my clothes I picked to, fit in with yours, and here we are, roughly the same, sort of outfits. And later in the day, when I go jogging or I'm sitting at home on my own, then I'll change the costume to fit in with the activity. Right. Well, isn't that connected with what actors do?
I suppose it is. It probably hasn't occurred to people that when we're caught talking to ourselves on the street, someone hears us and then we pretend we were singing and go dum dum ba bum 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 bum. That's what that's.
Or we hail a taxi and it doesn't stop and we pretend we're really scratching our heads.
But still. Then you have to factor into it genius, if you'll look away from me now, as in your case and Mr. Brando's and some others.
It's communication. Acting is communication and persuading the people that you're with that you're who you're pretending to be. And pretend is an awful lot about life. We know what we actually are ourselves, or we think we know, and we just project parts of ourselves and we select. We're always ourselves, but we select, and actually you do that on stage too. It's always Ian McKellen just selecting part of himself and having worked on part of himself to convince the audience that actually he's more like Richard III than he is himself. It's not. It isn't that complicated.
Sure you want to reveal the secrets of acting?
That's as far as
all
I
over
go.
The place doing it. Okay,
morning.
don't tell them the rest. Interesting that Olivier always had a false nose, even in a so-called straight part where he was not playing Shylock or Fagin or some elaborate character makeup.
But people
said it gave him comfort.
Yes, and I think biographers are right when they say that in his private life too he spent a lot of time disguising himself, so you could never quite be sure when you met Larry what he was doing. And I mean, he usually looked like a businessman. That was probably because he was going into the office not to do the accounts, but to be the administrator of the theatre, and he very, very rarely looked like an actor.
First time I saw him, he was walking on 6th Avenue, and I wanted to say to the people around, that's Laurence Olivier. This is maybe your only chance in your life to see him. But he did, as you say, he looked like somebody maybe on his way to Wall Street. Nothing like Hamlet, nothing like Richard III, and nothing like any of the other things I'd seen him in. I can't wait to see you as Richard III. And the onlyest thing that bothers me is how can I overcome my problem of being put off when a play has moved into another time period and then the verse seems to be at odds with the costumery and setting?
Well, I think you should get over that problem, certainly if you come to see me act, because whenever I've done Shakespeare, I've always done it in modern or modernish dress, which is what Shakespeare himself used to do. I mean, when Shakespeare did Julius Caesar, originally, they did it in doublet and hose. David Garrick played King Lear in the 18th century in a full-bosom wig and a frock coat.
They didn't bother with togas? And
no, the idea that anything should be historically accurate was an obsession of the Victorians who got very absorbed in medievalism and all that sort of thing. So we've just reverted to what was always the case, of treating the plays as if they were about our life today as much as they were about the life of the historical period in which they're set. And as for the blank verse somehow belonging to doublet and hose, I don't believe that. The point about blank verse is not that it's old, but that it's very, very speakable and easy to understand and very follows the rhythms of everyday life, even today. So if you see a production, you think, this is wonderful verse speaking, something's gone wrong, I think.
Yeah. However, you do see what I mean, that if a cab driver says, "My love swears that she is made of truth, I do believe her, though I know she lies,"
I'd give him a huge tip.
I mean on the stage in a modern dress production.
Right.
Okay, I'm not going to win this argument. I don't even see it as an argument. Do you know Robert Benchley's brilliant line that closed one question forever? That the plays of Shakespeare were not written by Shakespeare, but by someone else of the same name.
Yes.
Well, now we're into a subject that I had kind of hoped to save for later, but incidentally, this might startle you. The other night, an event at the Waldorf, a lady came up to me and said, "May I just say one thing to you?" And that usually precedes, "Thank you for Katharine Hepburn," so many years ago. She said, "Thank you for your courage in coming out of the closet." And someone next to her looked a little startled and seemed not to have heard of my having come out of the closet. And the closet that I had come out of, I hate to spoil this, was having had depression, and I had talked about it at a convention at Johns Hopkins, and then it got into, I don't know, I went on Good Morning America, People magazine, and so on and so. And whenever a celebrity does confess to this ghastly disease, it saves lives, so it's kind of gratifying to do it. So I guess I like to think of myself as an honorary gay, because I have done a lot of AIDS benefits and so on.
Well, I think the nicest men are, I divide straight men into those who can cope with it and those who can't, and most of my
can
straight
cope
friends,
with it.
Well,
yeah,
don't mind,
Now, tell me precisely how you chose the moment to make this public, since you'd obviously thought about it for years.
I don't know that I had, and that's the rather surprising thing, that it took me until I was 49 to actually complete the process of coming out, which begins, I suppose, from the day you realize that you're gay and start dealing with it. That happened for me when I was about, well, at the age that most people's sexuality is being stirred, pre-teens. And I didn't really see why I needed to tell the media and anybody else who asked. Because all my friends do.
I still don't see the need to, but I can see choosing to.
Well, the need to is that if you don't say, then you're not being honest.
But your life is acting.
Indeed, and that's why I think so many gay men who are in the closet are such good actors professionally. No, if they lie about themselves and aren't capable of talking about themselves and introducing the world to the person that they love, that's not very good either for that relationship or for the individual person. And once having done it yourself, you then, of course, realize the true importance of it for the world at large, which is that just as you coming out as someone who's had depression, I coming out as someone who's gay, gives comfort to people who can't come out, because if they did, they would lose their jobs and they would lose the respect of their colleagues and their families and sometimes be thrown out on their ear from their house.
What I do despise are the people who take it upon themselves to pull others out of the closet. Not really
that isn't the point. No, that's a very unhealthy situation. No, it should be something you do yourself.
Yeah.